These days, more and more people are saying things like, protect your peace, cut people off, or distance yourself from negativity. And sometimes that advice is necessary. Some relationships really are unhealthy. Some people constantly drain your energy, disrespect your boundaries, or create emotional chaos in your life. But something strange is happening at the same time. More people are protecting their peace than ever before. Yet many still feel emotionally exhausted, disconnected, and lonely. Because sometimes what looks like peace is actually emotional isolation. Psychology suggests that protecting your mental well-being does not always mean removing people from your life. Sometimes it means learning how to stay emotionally balanced without disconnecting from everyone around you. So in this video, we'll explore 6 healthy ways to protect your peace without isolating yourself from the people who matter most. One of the biggest mistakes people make today is believing that every uncomfortable interaction automatically means someone is toxic. Social media has made relationships feel extremely black and white. If someone disappoints you, people immediately say, cut them off. If someone misunderstands you, people call it emotional manipulation. But real human relationships are usually much more complicated than that. Even healthy friendships experience tension sometimes. Even emotionally mature people say the wrong thing occasionally. Even supportive family members can misunderstand you during stressful moments. Psychology suggests that conflict itself is not the real problem. The real problem is repeated disrespect, manipulation, or emotional harm that continues over time without accountability or change. But many people now confuse emotional discomfort with emotional danger. And over time, this can slowly create emotional isolation. Some people stop talking to close friends after one argument. Others emotionally distance themselves from family members after feeling hurt once or twice. At first, it feels like self-protection, but eventually people can end up emotionally disconnected from almost everyone around them. And ironically, the loneliness that follows often creates even more emotional stress than the original conflict itself. Healthy relationships are not perfect relationships. They are relationships where communication, understanding, and emotional flexibility still exist even when disagreements happen. Sometimes protecting your peace does not mean removing someone from your life completely. Sometimes it simply means having an honest conversation, adjusting expectations, or creating healthier communication instead of disappearing immediately. A lot of people try to protect their peace through avoidance. They stop replying to messages, stop opening up emotionally, stop attending gatherings, or slowly disappear from relationships altogether. And at first, avoiding people can feel peaceful because distance temporarily removes stress. Silence can feel calming when your mind already feels emotionally overloaded. But psychology often shows that constant avoidance does not actually solve emotional overwhelm. In many cases, it simply delays it while creating loneliness at the same time. The stress disappears temporarily, but the emotional disconnection slowly grows underneath the surface. This is why psychologists often emphasize boundaries instead of emotional withdrawal. Boundaries are not about shutting people out completely. They are about creating healthy limits that protect your emotional well-being without destroying your connections with others. For example, you can care about someone deeply without being emotionally available every hour of the day. You can choose not to engage in conversations that constantly become emotionally draining. You can take time to recharge without feeling guilty for needing space. Many emotionally exhausted people were never taught how to set healthy boundaries, so they swing between two extremes. They either tolerate too much until they burn out, or they cut people off entirely to escape the pressure. But emotional balance usually exists somewhere in the middle. Sometimes protecting your peace sounds like saying, "I need some quiet time tonight," or "I can't mentally handle this conversation right now." That is not selfishness. That is emotional self-respect. And over time, healthy boundaries often create stronger and more stable relationships than avoidance ever could. Many emotionally exhausted people have one thing in common. They feel responsible for everyone else's emotions. They constantly listen, constantly help, constantly try to solve problems, calm people down, and absorb emotional pressure from the people around them. Over time, this creates something psychologists often describe as emotional overload. It happens when someone spends so much energy managing external emotions that they slowly neglect their own emotional recovery. And this is where many people begin isolating themselves without even realizing it. Not because they hate people, but because relationships start feeling emotionally heavy. Conversations feel draining. Notifications feel exhausting. Social interaction starts feeling like emotional work instead of emotional connection. Some people become so overwhelmed that they stop answering messages, avoid conversations, or emotionally disappear for days at a time just to feel mentally quiet again. The problem is that when emotional exhaustion builds for too long, even healthy relationships can begin to feel overwhelming. Protecting your peace sometimes means recognizing that caring about people does not mean sacrificing your emotional stability for them. You are allowed to support others without becoming responsible for fixing every problem in their lives. You are allowed to take emotional breaks. You're allowed to say, "I don't have the mental energy for this conversation right now," without feeling guilty for it. Healthy emotional balance comes from understanding that your emotional capacity is limited, and constantly absorbing stress from everyone around you will eventually leave you emotionally empty. Sometimes protecting your peace is not about disconnecting from people. It is about learning how to care without emotionally carrying everything. Another important way to protect your peace is understanding that not everyone needs the same level of access to your life. One of the biggest reasons people become emotionally overwhelmed is because they treat every relationship like it belongs in their inner circle. They overshare too quickly, overinvest emotionally, and give too much time and energy to people who were never meant to hold that level of emotional closeness. Psychology suggests that healthy relationships naturally exist at different levels. Some people are deeply trusted, some are casual friends, some are coworkers, acquaintances, or simply people you enjoy talking to occasionally. And emotionally healthy people usually understand this difference very well. They do not feel pressured to give everyone unlimited emotional access to them. A lot of emotional stress happens when we expect every relationship to provide deep understanding, loyalty, or emotional safety. But not every connection is built for that. Some people are better kept at a respectful distance, not because they are bad people, but because the relationship simply functions better with healthier limits. Sometimes you do not need to remove someone from your life completely. Sometimes you simply need to adjust how much access they have to your emotions, your time, or your personal struggles. You can still be kind to people without giving them unlimited emotional influence over your life. In fact, many emotionally balanced people become more peaceful once they stop expecting every relationship to become deeply personal. Protecting your peace is not always about isolation. Sometimes it is simply about learning where each relationship naturally belongs in your life. Emotional detachment is often misunderstood. Many people hear the word detachment and immediately think it means becoming cold, distant, or emotionally numb. But healthy emotional detachment is not about stopping yourself from caring about people. It is about learning how to care without absorbing every emotion around you. Some people internalize everything. If someone criticizes them, they carry that criticism for the rest of the day. If someone is upset, they immediately feel responsible for fixing the mood. If someone behaves negatively, they absorb that emotional tension as if it belongs to them personally. Over time, constantly internalizing other people's emotions can become mentally exhausting. It creates anxiety, emotional instability, and emotional burnout. Emotionally healthy people learn something different. They learn how to observe emotions without automatically becoming consumed by them. For example, someone else's bad mood does not have to control your emotional state. Someone disagreeing with you does not automatically reduce your value as a person. And someone projecting their stress onto you does not mean you must carry it emotionally for the rest of your day. This kind of emotional balance creates inner stability. It allows people to remain calm in difficult interactions instead of becoming emotionally reactive to everything around them. Protecting your peace sometimes means learning how to separate your emotions from the emotional chaos around you. Not by becoming cold or disconnected, but by becoming emotionally grounded enough that other people's emotions no longer control your inner peace. One of the biggest hidden sources of emotional stress is trying to control other people. We want people to communicate better, understand us perfectly, react the way we would react, or finally become the version of themselves we keep hoping for. But psychology repeatedly shows that real change usually only happens when people choose it for themselves. Many people lose their peace because they spend too much emotional energy trying to fix, change, or emotionally manage the people around them. They replay conversations in their minds, overanalyze behavior, and constantly wonder how to make someone finally understand their feelings. But the harder we try to control other people's emotions, reactions, or decisions, the more emotionally exhausted we often become. Emotionally healthy people eventually realize something important. Peace does not come from controlling people. It comes from controlling your response to them. You cannot force someone to become more emotionally aware. You cannot force everyone to meet your expectations perfectly. Sometimes protecting your peace means accepting people as they are while adjusting your boundaries accordingly. And psychologically, that shift creates a huge sense of emotional freedom. Protecting your peace does not always mean cutting people off or isolating yourself from the world. Sometimes it simply means learning how to manage your emotional energy more carefully, creating healthier boundaries, and understanding which relationships deserve deeper access to your life. Real peace is not emotional isolation. Real peace is emotional balance. It is the ability to stay calm without disconnecting yourself from human connection completely. Because at the end of the day, people still need relationships. We still need understanding, support, conversation, and emotionally safe connections. And psychology suggests that emotionally healthy people are usually not the ones who avoid everyone. They are the ones who learn how to stay emotionally grounded while still remaining open to the people who truly matter. And maybe that is the real difference between peace and isolation. Isolation pushes people away out of emotional exhaustion. Peace allows you to stay connected without losing yourself in the process.